everybody. It is a pleasure to be here with you back on the main stage at CMX. I am Rebecca Houghton, Director of Digital Community Support at Microsoft. And I'm here with Dennis and Seijin, and we're super excited to talk to you today about everybody's favorite subject. Well, maybe not everybody's favorite subject, but we're here to talk to you about AI and community. And I recognize that we're talking about AI at a time when the community industry is undergoing some challenges. And I encourage you to check out Richard Millington's blog post, I think it was from March, called "Are We in a Community Recession?" And AI was one of the factors or concerns cited in that. And you know, we know as community managers that when budgets are tight, we're often the first on the chopping block. So anyway, first of all, I have a quick question for you all. I want you to think of the first pop culture image that pops into your head when you think about AI. Okay, have you got it? Okay, now hands up if you thought of Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Terminator. Okay, it's not just me. That's exactly where I started with my journey in AI, and I am a convert now. But the concerns are real. There was a Pew Research Center study done in 2023 that found that 52% of Americans were more concerned than excited about AI, and that had actually gone up from 37% in 2021. So people's concerns, as we learn more about AI, they're starting to go up. So the concerns themselves are real. But we are here today with a message from the future. And the message is, don't panic. Okay, there is a Starbucks gift card for anyone who can shout out the name of the sci-fi book/movie. Did someone say it? Yeah, someone in the back got it. Come and find me after us. Round of applause. You have to be totally nerdy to get that in the United States. Come and find me. There is a Starbucks gift voucher for your name on it. Highly encourage you to check it out. It's a much more fun view of the future in AI than the Arnold Schwarzenegger version. So yes, our message is don't panic. We really believe that AI is an opportunity for community managers to lose if we fail to embrace it because of the fears that we have around it. So without further ado, let's get into the panel. Dennis, I want to start with you. Why don't you give us a quick intro?
Sure. Dennis Pollett. I work at Microsoft. I have the best boss ever. And been there a long time because I have such a great manager. Who would want to leave? And I've been in the community space for 15, 20 years. It was going to be my last gig, and then it's just so fun that I don't really want to stop doing it. So yeah, I spent a lot of time with BI and ROI and things like metrics and things like that. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, my name is Seijin. I'm co-founder, CEO in Richefs. We work with companies to develop AI coordinators or AI interns that basically take care of all the repetitive tasks, all the boring work from your tasks. Previously, I spent 15 years leading marketing projects across companies like Meta, Google, OpenStore, Udemy, some companies you heard of. Yeah, and I'm really excited to talk about everything that we've been doing.
So yes, I am Dennis's boss, and Dennis, no pressure. All of this will be in your annual review, which is just a couple of weeks away, so the timing is perfect. And I will also say that you might think Dennis and I, coming from Microsoft, know a lot about AI, but after talking with Seijin, he is the person to talk to afterwards for any questions on AI. He's super knowledgeable, so delighted to have you as part of the panel. And actually, Seijin, I'm going to start with you because you have a lot of great ideas about how we as community managers can use AI to augment rather than replace the human connection that we have in communities. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So we've been talking to a lot of our early customers, mostly in the community engagement space. And one key thing we noticed is that there's quite a lot of excitement, but also at the same time, a lot of confusion and sort of like fear around how to best implement AI. But the first thing we always tell them is, you know, when you think about the sort of a spectrum, the work that you do in community management, I mean, you're expected to do so many different things. Like you just gotta stay on top of all the engagement. You need to monitor the mentions. You need to set up webinars. You need to set up new events. There's just so much work to do, and there's just so much expectation coming from all directions in the business. Now, when you think about how to best leverage AI, the best answer we provide is it's not like just turning on the switch to set up a chatbot and expect that chatbot to do all the work that you do. It never really works that way. And as human, we know that when you talk to AI, a single sort of weirdly nuanced answer can trigger you in a really bad way. So what we recommend is try to step back, try to do a quick audit of every little task that you do on a given day. Try to identify where you spend the most time repetitively with the lowest value added. And think about a way how you leverage AI in the existing human workflows and embed that in a very thoughtful and surgical way to really augment the entire workflow so that you can reshift most of the budget and resources that would go otherwise wasted to other BPO agencies or other contractors, and try to reallocate that into more proactive community initiatives or more like meaningful connection-oriented efforts. So that takes a lot of efforts, actually, which is the reason why we always try to sit down with our customers to actually brainstorm what are the deep sort of integrations that we can think about in the most natural way to really augment all the human community operators to really 10x the productivity of the community team. Versus just like blindly thinking about implementing a random chatbot. So that's been our philosophy, but it takes quite a lot of work and thinking around analyzing the existing workflow and coming up with the right system. But it's been really exciting to see some of our early customers basically reimagine the entire workflow and reinvest 70% of their resources into more proactive community advocacy efforts.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I think when I think about AI in the community space, and I guess a caveat for Rebecca and I, we work for Microsoft, and Microsoft's heavily invested in AI, and it's a big market. We're talking more of it from a community perspective.
Yeah,
so
we're not here to talk about Copilot and try and sell
individual-
that to you today or anything like that.
Yes, it's our individual viewpoints. I think about AI in the community kind of in 4 different categories where you can use it. One is just personal productivity. And that's not unique to community, but there's so many things it can do to make your everyday chores easier. And then I think there's the second piece is related to that, but it's community-specific things that you can do that either you don't do because they take too much time, or you do, but they're repetitive and costly. Example, we get a lot of things coming through our mailbox at Microsoft around AI and how to use it, and I get this one that's called Prompt of the Week. And I got it yesterday, and I looked at it and ran it. And basically, it's a prompt that says, hey, go through my mailbox, find everything in there that is a kudos or a good job done, summarize it, and then summarize a paragraph of that. And it goes out and does that in 10 seconds. And I'm like, oh, wow, this guy had forgotten about some of those things. But you can just take that same example, tweak it a little bit, which I did this morning, and go run it against your community and say, okay, for this community member, go back and look for the last month and see all the cool responses you got and the thank yous and the attaboys from customers, and summarize that, and then send that off. And it took literally 30 seconds. And so things that would take me hours in the community space to do. And I had to think about all the contributors we have, and it just becomes overwhelming. But something like that is super easy. So that's the second category. And then I think the other 2 categories, one is to help. In our case, we have a support community, and it's huge. I mean, 1.5 billion sessions a year, customer unique sessions. And so one is to help your answerers, your responders, and it can help them with their SME expertise in certain areas. And then the other is to help actual customers. And I think that's where it kind of jumped to immediately, like, let's get this chatbot out there and answer some of those questions. It can work in that space. It's difficult and it's risky, so you have to be very thoughtful and surgical about I think somebody yesterday had, where do you put the machine? It's really important to think about how you implement that, but that's kind of that 4th area.
Cool, thank you. What I love about that is, in both of those examples, is what we're talking about is not replacing, we're talking about shifting resources, we're talking about showing more of the value of the community, getting more engaged with our members. And one of the things I'm looking to use AI for as we move ahead into our fiscal year planning at Microsoft is like hey, I can show more of the value of the community now. So actually, I want to invest. I need more humans to come and help me with this. So it's actually a way we can justify getting more help as well, more support, more budget for our community. So, all right, I want to do a little bit of a pivot now to community content, because we know that community content has been seeing huge spikes in Google and Bing search results, and we've certainly been seeing that at Microsoft. So Dennis, can you give us a few quick pointers, like what are you seeing, what's happening?
Yeah, if you rely on search, and some communities do and some communities don't, it can be really critical, and we're seeing AI come into search itself. So it's causing some angst there for a lot of community members and community sites, where the traffic to their site is actually being cannibalized or reduced by search itself. So I go into Google or Bing, or go into Bing, and I search, and and I get an AI result first thing, and it actually is the answer. It's not just here's a link, click on it, it's the answer. It has everything in it. That traffic never goes to your site, and so it's a little scary. It draws down some of your volume, but it's really an us problem in that case, because from a customer perspective, that's great, and they're using our content, and that's great. So it's a problem for us to go figure out about how do we solve the measurement of that, but it's our content, and it's customer got what they need, and so that's a good thing. Community content is also, most community content, it differs. Some private forums are different, but like in our case, the community content is perfect for these large language models like and ChatGPT and things like that, because it's clean content. We typically moderate it. It's fresh. We get like 60, 70,000 new questions every month, so it's always being refreshed by new questions that come in. It's typically free, it's public, it's cheap, and so all those things, it's a perfect source. So it can be used. So our traffic has actually gone up with AI and the search engines grabbing our content and ChatGPT using our content, because it's the perfect kind of content for them. So our volume has kind of doubled, basically. So it can be a good thing, but search is really important for us, so it works for us.
Yeah. And one thing I always love advocating for at this point, maybe it could be a hot take a little bit, but in my view, over the next 5-10 years, I think it's actually going to be a golden opportunity for community-generated content, precisely because of the proliferation of AI in content generation. So, think about it. Even now, when you open up your email inbox, probably more than 50% of the content that you see are in some ways generated by AI. When you search on Bing or Google, probably the blog articles that you read, more than 50% of them should be in some ways written by AI. Now, when you look at all the video ads or video content out there, AI is not quite there yet, but it's getting there. But in a world where everything you see is pretty much AI generated, like would you ever enjoy consuming content? Hell no, for someone like me. I love human connections and human content, human stories. So in that world, I think people will always crave for more human-generated stories, human storytelling. And what the best way to have the human stories and human-generated content at scale? It's community content. So I think that's one of the shifts that we see from the industry, even from companies like Google or even Microsoft, in determining the search algorithm, is really thinking about the quality of the content. And I think they're beginning to value more community-generated content more over other AI-generated content. So from that aspect, I think there's going to be quite a lot of focus and investment and attention on the community initiatives from companies over the next 5 to 10 years. But the key thing to remember there is, it's going to be a pretty dramatic transition, and you need to be able to embrace the AI technology and tools in your own workflows to actually get ready for that transition. How do you actually, support the content generation scale with the sort of AI tools as your biggest leverage?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Too, what I'm hearing here is just the little bit of that virtuous cycle, in the sense that we need the community content is really what we need, like, to bring some of that human connection to AI. And in order to keep that going, we've got to keep traffic going into our community. So just to keep getting the value, and that's again something we're looking at on Microsoft, is how do we get more traffic into our community so that we're creating more of that content that we know is going to be really helpful in helping other people in our community if we can leverage it for AI. So
Yeah, just to add on to that, just to be clear, like in our community, the support community answers.microsoft.com, like I said, our traffic has kind of doubled in the last 18 to 24 months. It's still 100% community-driven content. There is no AI-driven content in there, and yet it's the valuable type of content, which is why like our search rank placements moved from like 10th or 11th on average. Now we're like 4th or 5th on average, and so it gets a lot more eyeballs because that's what the search engines want to put out there. It works for them, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting short on time, but I've got a couple more questions I want to try and get to. So, Seijin, I know that you also have great thoughts around how AI can augment and enhance the community. And sorry, I am looking at the wrong question. 1 minute, we've already done that one. Yeah, enhance versus exploit. How do we make sure that the AI tools that we're looking at are enhancing, not exploiting our community members? Where are the risks and concerns? How do we use AI for good versus evil?
Yeah, I think that's where you need to be really thoughtful about designing the system that you use. So I think like one of my favorite sessions from yesterday is like thinking about the actual sort of UX principles and making sure you set up a system where you can interact with different people in the most meaningful way. I think same principle goes true for AI and human interaction as well. So I think the key question is, how do you design an experience where it's really humans that actually make the final decisions, but AI is there to really help you do the grunt work and the groundwork. Like the best analogy that I've been using is basically AI is there to get out there and prepare all the best ingredients that you can use, so that the best human chef can cook an amazing meal with their own knowledge and skills. So I think same goes true for how you use AI tools in your community work as well. How do you actually set up a system or workflow where you leverage AI in the most sort of repetitive and boring work that takes a lot of time, but then when it comes to really making that final human touch and creating human connections, how do you embed yourself to really be the final decision maker in designing an awesome human-centered system and community? I think that's going to be the key question we would have to continue to push ourselves to ask and answer.
Cool, thank you. All right, since we're about to wrap up here, I just want to end with what would be the one piece of actionable advice you would give folks here today when they're thinking about their future in their community and AI?
So I would say think about those kind of 4 areas I talked about and where your opportunities are. The last one where and this is kind of the one we think about with AI, I think, where it's like going to replace all the people who are answering questions in the community. That's just not going to happen. However, it will have an impact in there, and so be really thoughtful about what that looks like. We've spec'd out a way to do it, like we call Project Elvis, because it was about a little less conversation. But the idea was that the customer would create their question. If they looked on the site, they're going to create the question, hey, how do I do this VLOOKUP in Excel? They post it up there. We look at that one on an AI side and say, hey, do we know the answer to that one? We have a high confidence level. If so, we do an immediate response within 60 seconds saying, hey, I'm an AI person in this community. I'm not a real person, but I think I know the answer. Here it is. Is this it? And then we say, and tell us real quickly, did this solve your problem, yes or no? And if it doesn't solve the problem, then great. Customer says, nope, doesn't solve my problem. And then the regular human interaction kicks in as like it normally would. If it does solve the problem, we solved that problem in 60 seconds. It creates another piece of content that is validated, and we know it's good, and everybody's great. We have more than enough questions to answer in our community. So you have to be thoughtful and surgical about where you do it and where you put the machine and how you do it, so it's not intrusive, and it still gives the human interaction the flow it needs to have.
Yeah. Cool, thank you, Seijin. Quick one from you.
Yeah, well, I think that the best advice I can give you is just try to embrace AI as aggressively as possible in your workflow, but be really thoughtful in how you leverage it and how you implement it. And if any of you are interested in talking about the AI community, anything, just feel free to grab me after the session. More than happy to chat.
Cool. And yeah, I think my parting thought would be, think about the vision that you have for your community. Like, if you could wave a magic wand and your community could just be the North Star that you want it to be, think about how you can use the magic of AI to stepping stone you there. And if you're not sure where to start, go ask AI. Tell it, hey, this is what I want to do with my community. How can you help me get there? And I think you'll be surprised about the quality of the answers that you get. So we started off with sci-fi. We ended up with magic wands and Harry Potter. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Seijin. Come find us afterwards. It's a pleasure. Thank you.